What's up everybody? This is Whiskey in the Six. I'm Rob. Haven't done this kind of video in a long time. This is underrated and underpriced whiskeys. I'm going to start with my honorable mentions list and then I'm going to move on to my top 6. I've done 2 previous underrated, underpriced videos, so you guys can check those out in the archives. I'll likely be doing these once a year just because it'll take about a year to get a good list together. I have the overrated, overpriced comes out every once in a while as well. I'm probably on 4 or 5 of the overrated, overpriced videos, but I do have only 2 other underrated, underpriced, so this is number 3. Alright, here we go with the honorable mentions. In no particular order, we have the Wild Turkey Revival. Now, this is between 12 and 15 years old. The reason why it's on my honorable mentions list is because I do believe it's a little bit underrated. I don't think enough people are talking about it. I think it's really, really good whiskey. I think it's a bit expensive now. It wasn't bad when it first came out, but as it started to get a little bit more rare, the price seems to be going up a little bit as of recent. But even at 150 Canadian or 120 American, I think it's still a really good price. So I would recommend getting that. That's a really nice bottle. Next up on honorable mentions, I have the GLENROTHES Maker's Cut. This is $100 at the LCBO. Word is that there's 16-year-old whiskey in that bottle. I don't know how young it gets. It is a no-age statement, but it's really, really good. It's what I like to call the little brother to the classic cut, but it's probably just as good as some of the classic cuts that have come out. So Macallan and GLENROTHES are the same company now. It would not surprise me if Macallan is letting GLENROTHES use some of their casks. This does taste a little bit like Macallan, and like I said, word is that there's 16-year-old whiskey in there as well, so who knows. Last on the honorable mentions is the Springbank 10. I absolutely love this whiskey. I think it's a little bit expensive at the LCBO. It's about $110. I think it should be probably around the $70 to $80 range, depending on where you go. I know it's much cheaper in other provinces, in the States, in the UK, but even at 110, I will definitely replace that bottle. I think it's a great bottle. I think it's one of those ones that I really need to have on my bar whenever I finish a bottle. Alright, so my top 6. Here we go with number 6. It's the Old EZRA Barrel Strength. This is 7 years old. It's a high ABV because it's barrel strength, of course, and it's really cheap in the US. It's about $40. I know it's going to be a little bit more expensive at the LCBO when it finally hits shelves. I think around $70, maybe a touch more than that, but even at $70, you can't really get too much in the 7-year range that's barrel strength. I recently did a video with the Old EZRA 7 barrel strength in it, in a series I call Gifted Whiskies. This bottle was gifted to me and it's excellent. It was a pleasant surprise. I will definitely get another bottle, and for $40 American, it's a must-have on your bar. Another super pleasant surprise at number 5 is the ALBERTA Premium Cask Strength. I think this is excellent whiskey. It literally blew the Lot 40 Cask Strength this year away. I think it's one of those whiskeys that might develop a little bit of a cult following. A lot of people don't know, but Whistle Pig uses a lot of Alberta rye. This stuff is $50 Canadian in some provinces. I think it's going to be $70 Canadian here. It's an absolute steal at that price. I love this whiskey. I think you really need a bottle to see for yourself, to see what rye can be, because I've never ever tasted a rye that tastes anything like this. It's so fruit forward. It's got a lot of nectarine, puree type notes. Just excellent whiskey. You really, really want it. Number 4 is the North Star VEGA 28-year-old blended malt. Honestly, everything that North Star is doing is pretty damn awesome, but this one in particular is really, really good. We're going to get a 28-year-old Scotch for under $150 Canadian. It's unheard of, the price that these are going for. What's even more unheard of is how good the quality actually is. Honestly, really enjoyed this stuff. I'm going to be doing a review on it soon. I got it right here. There's only 800 bottles of this, so if you haven't gotten it already, you need to go seek out a bottle. I hope you can find one. I didn't want to put anything too hard to come by on this list, and I do think that there are some of these floating around. Blends don't often fly off the shelf unless you're Johnny Walker or Compass Box, so I think you have a good chance of getting a bottle of this. I missed out on the 32-year-old. I imagine that was excellent whiskey as well, but this is really good, so it's a good consolation. Number 3 is the Kirkland 20-year-old single malt. Now, this whiskey blew me away because it was under $70 American for a 20-year-old single malt Kirkland's doing a great job bottling these. I know I really enjoyed the 18-year-old as well. As soon as you see a single malt bottled by Kirkland at Costco, just buy it. Trust me, you're not going to be disappointed. The price is great. Just really good whiskey that can stand up to a lot of its competitors that are charging more for younger whiskey. Normally, I don't have a lot of Canadian whiskey on these lists. I don't have a lot of American whiskey. 3 of the 6 were North American whiskeys this time. Number 2 is the WISER'S 23-year-old cask strength. Honestly, this stuff blew me away. I could not believe how good it was. It's literally everything I've been asking Canadian whiskey companies to do for years, and they finally did it. I think this stuff is going to sell out quick, so if you haven't got a bottle, go get it. I know it's still available in most places. It's only going to be $150 at the LCBO. $150 for a 23-year-old cask strength whiskey. I think that's a steal. If this does sell out, it won't be that price in the future. This has secondary written all over it. So get it at retail because it's excellent stuff. I got 2 bottles for myself, and I do plan on replacing the bottle to drink. So excellent stuff. Really happy with what WISER'S decided to do with this whiskey. Much better in my opinion than the 35-year-old. Just really, really good stuff. Definitely the star of the Northern Border collection this year. Last but not least, number 1 is this beautiful bottle right here. It's the HAZELBURN 14-year-old. Only 9,900 bottles, but I do believe you'll still be able to find it. Honestly, this whiskey blew me away. I could not believe how often I went back to it. We went through a bottle of this really, really quick. It's excellent stuff. My first experience with HAZELBURN was the 9-year-old Barolo, and I was not impressed at all. This stuff absolutely shattered my expectations. I actually had a chance to try the 13-year-old before I had this one. I really liked the 13-year-old as well. I thought it was excellent whiskey, but this stuff is just killer. Honestly, I did a head-to-head a while back of the 13 and 14-year-old. This nudges out the 13, so try to get the 14 if you can. I'm really excited to see what HAZELBURN comes out with this year to replace this bottle. But 9,900 bottles, I think you should be able to find one. Really good stuff. Alright guys, that's it. Hopefully you liked this video. If you did, hit the thumbs up. If you really liked the video and you haven't already, you can hit the subscribe button. You can hit the bell to get notifications for when I do post a video. And you guys can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and you can support this channel on Patreon. Cheers.